Korea just lit itself on fire, and the result is the most exciting luxury performance EV nobody saw coming. The 2027 Genesis GV60 Magma is the world's first road-ready expression of the Genesis Magma program, a brand-new performance sub-brand that Genesis has built from the ground up to take on established performance icons from BMW M, Mercedes-AMG, and Porsche, not with raw aggression, but with something far more interesting: sophistication wrapped in 641 horsepower. This is not a warmed-over GV60 with a bodykit slapped on for the auto show season. It is a fundamentally re-engineered performance machine with hardware and software borrowed directly from the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, then refined, retrimmed, and elevated into something genuinely more premium and more composed than its platform sibling. The relationship between the Ioniq 5N and the GV60 Magma is not unlike the relationship between the Honda Civic Type R and the Acura Integra Type S. Same fire under the hood, entirely different character in the cabin. It has drift mode, a boost button, virtual gear shift technology, a 27-inch OLED display, orange Nappa leather, a rear wing, and a 3.4-second 0-60 time. And it is expected to go on sale this July at around $85,000. Powertrain and performance. The GV60 Magma uses the same 84 kilowatt-hour battery pack as the standard GV60, but the two electric motors have been substantially retuned to deliver a dramatically different performance envelope. In standard mode, the Magma produces 601 horsepower and 546 lb-ft of torque, figures that would already be extraordinary in a compact luxury SUV. Press the boost button on the steering wheel, and those numbers climb to 641 horsepower and 580 lb-ft of torque for short performance bursts, enough to launch the GV60 Magma from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.4 seconds. Exterior design. Genesis had every opportunity to make the GV60 Magma look like a rolling volcano: aggressive vents, dramatic flares, cartoon widebody drama, and they chose not to, which is precisely what makes it work so well. The Magma instead communicates its capabilities through subtle but purposeful changes: a lowered stance, a functional rear wing that generates genuine downforce rather than existing purely for showroom theater, and a fresh grille featuring a distinctive three-hole airflow structure that replaces the standard GV60's smooth fascia. Chrome trim disappears entirely across the body, replaced by high-gloss black components and dark metal accents that create a more cohesive, performance-oriented appearance without resorting to flashy body kits or excessive venting. Reserved solely for the Magma trim, the wider body stance, 21-inch forged wheels on Pirelli tires, and exclusive wing-type rear spoiler create a genuinely unique visual identity within the GV60 family. Micro-lens array headlights with black bezels give the face a sharper, more technical expression, while orange Brembo brake calipers visible through the forged wheel spokes provide the single, most satisfying visual hint of what lives beneath the bodywork. A sideskirt breather line runs the length of the door sills, adding a horizontal tension to the silhouette that lowers the visual center of gravity even further. Interior and comfort. Step inside the GV60 Magma, and the orange does not stop at the door sill. It continues throughout the entire cabin in the most tasteful, least overwhelming way imaginable. The cockpit embodies the Magma sub-brand's track-inspired spirit without sacrificing the refinement that Genesis buyers have come to expect, with Shamood suede-like performance seats upholstered in orange and titanium gray, Nappa leather, and complemented by high-gloss black, black aluminum, and orange accent stitching on the doors, seats, and flat-bottom steering wheel. The front seats are more heavily bolstered and supportive than the standard GV60's chairs, come with standard heating and cooling, and provide the kind of lateral support that makes a 3.4-second 0-60 time feel earned rather than alarming. The distinctive crystal sphere shift mechanism, one of the most genuinely clever design details in any luxury car on sale today, remains, sitting elegantly on the center console and rotating to reveal the gear selector when the vehicle powers on. Orange and gray threading, trim pieces, and display themes continue the color scheme throughout the cabin in a way that feels deliberate and considered rather than excessive. The cabin is noticeably more refined and more plush than the Ioniq 5N's interior, which is exactly the point. This is the version for buyers who want the same explosive performance but prefer to arrive at the track looking like they came from a board meeting. Infotainment and technology. Stretching across the dashboard in a single sweeping arc is a 27-inch high-resolution OLED display that houses Genesis multimedia system, one of the most visually impressive instrument and infotainment setups currently available in a compact luxury EV at any price. Unlike the Ioniq 5N, which has a menu structure that first-time users find disorienting, the GV60 Magma's infotainment interface is noticeably simpler for both initial setup and switching between menus while in motion, a distinction that matters enormously in a vehicle that rewards driver focus. The virtual gear shift system, one of the most genuinely fascinating pieces of EV technology currently in production, captures the unmistakable feel of an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission, delivering authentic engine sounds and true-to-life shift sensations through the paddle shifters and through the seat itself. The boost mode function is accessible via a button on the steering wheel, unlocking the full 641 horsepower for short performance bursts, a system borrowed directly from the Ioniq 5N's in-grin boost feature, but refined and adapted for the Magma's character. Like other GV60s, the Magma has a Tesla-style NACS charging port that allows access to the supercharger network, and there is a CCS adapter for other Level 3 chargers. At its maximum rate of 250 kilowatts, the battery can charge from 10% to 80% in just 18 minutes. Safety and driver assistance. The 2027 Genesis GV60 Magma carries forward the full suite of Genesis safety features that underpin every vehicle in the Korean luxury brand's lineup, including forward collision avoidance with pedestrian and cyclist detection, lane keeping assist, blind spot collision avoidance, rear cross-traffic collision avoidance, and driver attention warning as standard equipment. The standard GV60's driver assistance architecture, which already impressed reviewers with its smooth, confidence-inspiring integration, carries over into the Magma without compromise, ensuring that the performance sub-brand's first production vehicle does not trade daily safety capability for track day focus. The Brembo braking hardware fitted to the Magma as standard equipment represents the most significant active safety upgrade over the standard GV60, delivering shorter stopping distances and more consistent brake pedal feel under repeated hard applications, a genuine improvement that benefits both circuit driving and emergency stopping situations on public roads. The 84 kilowatt-hours battery's structural integration into the platform provides a low center of gravity and a rigid central backbone that directly benefits both high-speed stability and collision safety. Genesis has built the GV60 Magma as a highly limited initial release vehicle, which means every unit receives thorough quality control inspection beyond what is standard for regular production volumes. Exclusivity and value proposition. The GV60 Magma is the world's first road-ready expression from the Genesis Magma program, with other models soon to follow, including a Magma GT concept currently in development, making this vehicle not just a performance SUV, but the founding stone of an entirely new chapter in Genesis history. With a highly limited initial release, the GV60 Magma is positioned as an exceptionally rare EV, and Genesis has made no secret of the fact that production numbers will be restricted, which makes the decision to order one now rather than wait a genuinely meaningful one for buyers who want the first edition of what promises to become a celebrated performance lineage. Expected pricing sits around $85,000, placing the GV60 Magma approximately $15,000 to $20,000 above the standard GV60 performance, a premium that buys you 158 additional horsepower, Brembo brakes, forged Pirelli shod wheels, orange Nappa leather, drift mode, boost mode, virtual gear shift, and the distinction of owning the first Magma ever made. The honest competitive conversation is this. The Hyundai Ioniq 5N delivers comparable performance for around $68,000, making the Magma a $17,000 luxury premium over its platform sibling. Genesis walked into the performance luxury arena with the GV60 Magma and made a statement that the established players cannot ignore, because the Korean brand did not try to out-aggress BMW M or out-brutal Mercedes-AMG. Instead, they built a 641 horsepower, drift-capable, Brembo-braked, Nappa leather-lined performance EV that smells of sophistication rather than raw ambition, and that approach is both genuinely original and genuinely effective. The 27-inch OLED, the crystal sphere gear selector, the virtual gear shift technology, the orange chamois suede seats, and the functional rear wing all tell a coherent story about a brand that has figured out exactly who it wants to be and is executing that vision with real confidence. The 3.4-second 0 to 60 time, the 641 horsepower boost mode, the 250 kilowatts fast charging, the 18-minute charge time, and the drift mode are not features bolted onto a luxury vehicle as an afterthought. They are the foundation of a performance sub-brand that has clearly been engineered with a long-term roadmap in mind. If this review helped you, hit subscribe and let us know in the comments. Would you take the GV60 Magma over the Ioniq 5N, or does $17,000 buy you something more important than orange leather and a crystal sphere?